Something really cool I did here, I decided that I don't need the lighting to be really dim and just all red accent lights and then darkness in order to be scary, because things are in movies can be really scary with just like natural light. The thing is, if you're shining it at straight angle or upwards, it's gonna look stupid, because you usually if you went to a real cemetery, the light would be coming down at an angle and creating shadows on the ground, and that's what looks scary. That's what we're used to. So what I did is I tried to get that same kind of lighting angle with the white light. The accent light can come up from the ground. So in order to get that, I made fake lamp posts. So I just took like an 8-foot pole and I planted it a foot into the ground, and I run the wire up here, and I just put a clamp light on there with a floodlight. The lights that I'm using are par 38 floodlights with the 120 watt. A 2-pack at Walmart for $9, so it's pretty good. But if that light is heated up and you shake it at all, it's gone. The filament will blow out that quick. Also using floodlights. These are high wattage, 120 watts light compared to like a 60, or these little LEDs are running at like 7 volts. I don't know how that compares really, but it's a lot less electricity basically. If you have a lot of these running, one, it's not waterproof for outside. If the water hits it, I don't know, it might blow a fuse. The other thing is, if you have several of these running and they're all plugged into one outlet like these are, you're running a chance on blowing a fuse and having to unplug some of your lights at the last minute. Now these little lights are really cool, these accent lights, because it's like 3 LEDs. They run about 7 volts a piece, and the housing's completely waterproof. They can be out in the rain, it doesn't matter, which is really awesome. But one problem is it's just gonna accent light something, and that's about it. It's not really going to provide light for people to walk around and stuff. Right here for this sinking bench, I'm using floodlights, and those are really good, but again, they're pulling out a lot of wattage to run those, and it's hard on the fuses and going through one outlet, and also again, they're not waterproof. So yeah, the problem with these, if your voltage is overloaded or it rains, shows over for these things, and you're left with nothing but little waterproof accent lights, and that wouldn't have been enough for people to be walking around here. Now those little red lights are kind of expensive. I think they run about $10-15 a piece, and it's like 30 for 2, and it really adds up. But the thing is that in order to really light your display up bright, you're going to need one LED light to shine on every single prop that you have in order for it to look right. Even though these look just fine and they weren't like anything super special, I just threw these out. But ideally even these would have a light on them, and see how they're not that spectacular without a light on them. While anything with its own individual light shining on it really steals the show. Like here, I shot a light across here, and it hits that cat, it hits both these crosses, and it hits the back side of this. So for one light, I was able to hit 4 different things, and so you can kind of make some use of your light. And then naturally, really this needs its own individual light going across the front. Now something cool about putting the clamp light, this is just another clamp light up on this thing, and putting that clamp light up there really sells it. And the light that shines down here is really making it seem like this is I don't know, it really seems like some cemetery gates or something like that, not just Halloween decoration. Right here I put in this little path for people who were too freaked out to go inside the maze. And just at the last minute, really, I carved this out and brushed all the dirt out and stuff to make a path here. But the strange thing is, I noticed there's hundreds of footprints here. Like, people used it like crazy, because a lot of people were really afraid to go into the maze, like especially children, and even some adults and stuff were afraid to go in there, which is strange. And so I noticed there was like hundreds of footprints going through here, but a lot of people were afraid the first couple of times to go through the maze or even to come in here, but then they would keep coming back, and then eventually they would do it. Now you can see right here, this is the entrance, the first thing that you see when you come into the maze, and you know, this building itself, and then you can see that it goes back, and you can't even tell that it goes back more than a few feet because the actual maze is completely hidden. As you can see right there, there's all the maze, and all you can really see when you come in is this right here. And so people don't know what the heck's in there, and they certainly don't expect it to go back very far until they get into it. But yeah, this part turned out really great, especially as the first thing that they see, because people really tripped out, and this turned tons of people back, where they would go turn in and go straight out that gate because they're like, no way, especially with all the noises that were coming out of there. But here again, that par 38 120 watt light really makes it seem like real, like a real horror movie or something, as opposed to, I tried lighting it up all these different ways with green and red and blue lights, and it just looked clownish and Halloween like, you know, like a Halloween display. But this makes it look like this is something real. People, a few little kids, they thought it was a real house, and they were like, how does somebody live in there when it's so small? It doesn't even have doors or windows, but I guess they're confused about it. I just said it was a really small person lived in there. So this first room turned out really good. Didn't have time to figure out what the heck kind of decorations to put in here. I just left it as is, but it was still really interesting because it kind of sold the idea that you're walking into some kind of crazy place. And then these signs right here just absolutely freak people out. They were like, those signs are just scary as heck. And here's the glow paint section. I use various different, this is not actually glowing paint, but it's neon glow. It lights up in the black light. Glow paint, I think, would have really worked well. It would glowed super bright. In order to get this to light up properly, you really need two 4-foot T12 neon lights, and I was able to get a T12 light fixture for 15 bucks at Lowe's, and then Walmart I was able to get both of these T12 black lights for 10 bucks each, and so the whole thing was about 35 bucks. It's really important to have like massive amounts of black light to get this stuff to glow. A little 2-foot tube light is just not going to do it at all. Also, if you have T12 tube lights and then you don't have a T12 capable fixture, these lights are not going to work in that fixture. So you have to make sure that your fixture is designed for T12, and it'll say T12 on the side of the packages, and you just match that up. Now this is the final product for this dummy, this final look. This is why I put some time into it, but I didn't put a lot of time into it because I knew I was just going to throw a sheet over him. But yeah, he looks pretty vivid just like that. And you can see I tightened a rope around his neck to make his face really stand out, and his nose and eyes. Now over here, here's the witch body that I made. Now, one thing is, I was going to use a styrofoam head and just throw a sheet over her as well, but I put this little head on that I dug out of one of the boxes, like a witch head, and it looked pretty creepy, so I just left it like that. One thing that's really cool about her is it has this illusion like the feet are floating above the ground. So I kind of dug this pit under her feet and she's up off the ground. See, right here I just have a 2-inch black light, and it's really not throwing adequate light onto any of this stuff. Those little teeny black lights hardly do anything. You really need to amp it up with the black light. And again, I'm just accenting with these accent lights are really good for shining up at things, and I'm just accenting everything with the little LED outdoor lights. And here's the final look of the mummy inside the maze. Also downward, it looks pretty good. Only with white light it has to be coming downward. These accent lights can go any direction. But yeah, as you can see, these dummies in here just really scared the heck out of people. And along with the noise, which was crazy, which I think was really the scariest part, is the noises. And one thing I throw in every year is I just cut some boards to 3 foot, some posts, and drill some holes in them, and just run the rope all the way through them, because crowd control is really important for your haunt. Otherwise people will walk all over your lines and trip and pull the lights down and things. And these worked out pretty good. I just bury them down about a foot, and you really want to control where everybody's walking. So these really work out great. It's a real cheap solution.